Update Part 5 to 11-year wife, ending coming today as well. Other parts down below. STBXW had her first IC session in 1 year last night. She was distressed when she got home and avoided me. We didn't speak to each other at all last night or so far today. She went to bed really early complaining of a bad headache. I have an appointment with my attorney Friday morning to respond to her counterclaim for primary custody. Should I tell my STBXW that I actually have a place and maybe even show it to her? She's been using the fact that I don't have a place yet. She thinks place I looked at was rented to someone else, as an excuse to hold up custody negotiations. She keeps saying, well, I don't know where you will be living, so I cannot decide what level of custody is appropriate. I think she's just looking for any excuse to prevent reaching an agreement. My lawyer said that it's a legitimate reason on the face of it. She wouldn't want me living 30 minutes away or in other towns nearby. Lawyer said there's no harm in letting her know before the custody conference. My only reason for holding out was the shock value of her finding out in the conference that I had the place half a mile from the marital home and in the same school district. Now I'm thinking maybe if she knows I have it and realizes how ideal it looks to the court, she may reconsider sharing custody with me. Who knows? I don't put a lot of faith in her ability to think rationally these days. I also have concerns about her possible behavior once she knows I have a place. She could try to do things or provoke me in some way to force me out of the marital home. And I cannot leave prior to the custody conference or risk harming my custody position. You never know with her. She gets crazy emotional, especially about our kids. I made more progress toward moving into my new place today. I went to a really nice used furniture store and bought a dining room table and chair set, 2 end tables, 2 matching chests of drawers for my daughter's room, and a recliner. I installed the shower caddy and shower curtain to finish off the bathroom. It's starting to look like a home finally. STBXW continues to belittle me in front of our girls. She makes snide and sarcastic comments with them in the room or within earshot. Every time she does this, I tell my girls that her comments are not very nice and hurt my feelings and that she should not be talking that way in front of them. Not much else I can do about it. I do make note of each incident in my journal in case it's needed in the custody hearing. Update. STBXW continues with her snide and sarcastic remarks. Not sure what's gotten into her lately. Up until recently she's been indifferent and distant. As have I. She was gone most of Sunday to attend her brother's 25th wedding anniversary dinner. When she returned around 5 p.m., the comments started right away. After a while of this crap, I got tired of it and needed to get some fresh air. So, I went to the grocery store. When I got back from the grocery store, all of a sudden she is nice and pleasant. She's talking to me respectfully, making small talk about an apple pie she and daughter just baked, talking about what days we need the babysitter. I just don't get it. She told me I appear very confident about the custody hearing coming up. I hope I don't appear overconfident to her. I'm not inside, and she takes that to mean I'm making my chances out to be better than they are. I simply responded, yes, I'm confident. If I didn't have a strong case, I wouldn't have filed and wasted the time and money. At bedtime she says, so daughter says you went to Mattress Warehouse today. I didn't respond. Looking at new beds for girls for my new place. She says daughter says you were videotaping them outside. What's that for? I didn't respond. We raked up all the leaves into a huge pile and were running and jumping into it, lots of fun. Finally, she gives up, rolls over and says, well, good night. I don't respond. This morning as I'm getting dressed, she rolls over in bed and starts talking to me. She asks me if this is really what I want. I asked if she meant separation. She said yes. I told her it was never what I wanted. I never wanted a divorce. But her behaviors and actions left me no choice. Unfortunately, the path I'm going down is necessary, not desired. She asked me if there was any remote chance we could come out of this together. I told her as of today, I don't see that happening. I told her I think separation is the way to proceed at this time. I reminded her that in June I gave her the 5 major requirements for reconciliation and she didn't attempt a single one. I told her that if I were in her shoes, I would be jumping through hoops right now to save us just like I did 3-1 divided by 2 years ago. To recover and prove myself. She has done nothing. I left the bedroom to leave for work. I wanted to say something about custody, a last-ditch proposal, but for some reason couldn't bring myself to speak out. I finished getting ready and was at the door, thinking about my proposal, pushing myself to at least put it on the table. So, I walked back into the bedroom to talk some more and she was on her cell phone, which is a huge trigger for me. It reminds me of all the times she spent texting and calling the other man, so I said, "Oh, great," turned and walked out to leave for work. She got up, followed me out, down the stairs saying I was just turning it on, like I do every morning. What's the problem? What did you want to say? I told her it's a trigger for me and I was done talking. She pressed further while coming into the laundry room. Tell me what's on your mind. You were going to say something. So, I figure what the hell. Just say it, get it over with. I asked her if she would consider shared custody starting in January, 1 week with each of us. Rotating, that way. I tell her the girls would be home through the holidays like she wants and there could be a delayed transition like she wants. She asks if I would be moving out. I tell her yes. If we have an agreement, she says. She was hoping I would just stay here during that time. I tell her that is not a good idea and we should start the transition. I tell her maybe they stay with me a couple weekends and they stay at home during the weekdays for school and for the Thanksgiving and Christmas holidays. She says, too bad I don't have a place to live. Where would they go on these weekends? I tell her the market is good right now and I can find a place easily. Again, she pulls the "I don't know where you'll be" card. I remind her I will stay close, that I won't be going far away. She says, too bad you didn't get that place close by. That would have been ideal. Wow. No kidding. So finally, I tell her please think about my proposal. It meets a lot of her requirements, as best we can in this situation. All weekend she's been digging for information about what evidence and information I have on her. Using every trick in her bag, from confrontation to emotional pity to try and get me to reveal details. She wants to know why I think she's a bad mom. What things has she done that make her a bad mother? I kept telling her I don't have an answer for her. She responded, yes. You do, you just won't tell me, to which I replied, that's correct. I will not tell you, doing so would be foolish. Well, I'll have to see what comes of my custody proposal after she thinks about it today. From what little monitoring capability I have left, I would say she's not in contact with other man for the last few weeks. Not since she skipped work that Monday and went to see him, but I have no access to her cell phone or email accounts, work and private. So who really knows? Every time she needs something from me and I tell her to go get it from her boyfriend, she gets angry and tells me she doesn't have a boyfriend, he has no time for her. And she has nobody now. According to her, that Monday visit was her attempt to find out where he stands with their relationship. She wants more, he wants a buddy. She says he doesn't want anything serious and is extremely busy with his own life. He works full-time and has 50% custody of his 3 boys and is fighting for full custody. She says there is no room in his life for her and she is basically giving up on him. She says it's over. I've only had this anger and drive since the most recent D-Day in Aug when she involved our girls in this mess with the OM. She's been in this affair off and on since April 3rd years ago, during which time I've been working on fixing myself and trying to get her to come around. But turns out the damage I inflicted on the marriage was too much and she checked out long ago. Although she played a pretty good game pretending and using me for financial security and domestic support all those years. I became a doormat, perpetually hoping things would change. The shock of her behavior in Aug finally snapped me out of my own fog and I filed for D. I stayed put mainly for our kids' sake, all the while working on my self-improvement, hoping she would come out of her fog. But like I said, turns out it was more than just a fair fog. I have done some serious damage to her emotionally due to my past behaviors and coupled with her childhood abuse. It was a recipe for disaster. STBXW went back up to her mom's this past weekend for her brother's-in-law's 60th B-Day party. She took the girls with her and they had a blast. The party was at a local fire hall with DJ, music, and dancing. Our girls love to dance. One daughter was disappointed I wouldn't go with them. I told STBXW that I couldn't stand being in the car with her for 4 hours and would be uncomfortable around her family. I told my daughter I had lots of yard work to do and other chores to catch up on. I went to a mattress store and bought twin beds for the girls and a new mattress for my bed frame. I also picked up my new recliner for the living room. Sunday, I spent a few hours at my new place putting things away in the kitchen, setting up the beds, and cleaning up the mess from unpacking. I'd say I'm about 75% furnished. I have an antique bedroom suite to move from the marital home plus all my tools and shelving and then of course my personal belongings. I took a bunch of photos of the place and printed them out to use at the conference meeting tomorrow. When STBXW came home, she kept up with her bullcrap sarcastic remarks for a while as she was unpacking. I went to bed at 10 p.m. and of course she started talking to me about family dynamic and how I will always be welcome at her family events and how important it is to the girls. She criticized me for not going up this weekend, saying daughter was very disappointed and it shows where my priorities lie. Like not with the girls. Of course. I couldn't tell her I was doing something for the girls, but maybe that will sink in tomorrow at the conference. She also reminded me that since it's important to the girls for both parents to be at events, she will be coming to all my family activities like picnics and Christmas. I didn't even respond because there is no point in getting into an argument, but I was thinking you probably won't be invited, so you're just going to crash each event and possibly make a scene. What the hell? She doesn't live in reality. Our lives will be separate soon, which will change a lot of things. I mean, we'll still do stuff together. The four of us. Like maybe see a Christmas play, amusement park, or go to a concert. But the typical family birthdays and holidays will be changing. She asked me about Thanksgiving again. Was I going up to her mom's? Then she says since I have so many issues with her that maybe she and the girls will just stay home to make it easier. Home or away doesn't matter, neither will be easier anymore. I didn't respond. Again. You can't reason with her. I wanted to tell her that we will most likely be alternating holidays from year to year, which means it will be up to me where they go during my year. I'm not saying I will not allow them to go. Just depends on what I have going on at that time. I am dreading this meeting tomorrow, very much so. Last night at home was emotionally charged and full of drama. The STBXW was a distraught, emotional mess. She was clearly having trouble coping with what's coming her way regarding custody and separation. One daughter gave her some attitude about a homework paper and she lost it. Yelling at her, telling her to get it together and stop being so moody. Other daughter was doing homework with me, but she didn't want to read what I thought was appropriate material, chapter book, and looked to her mom for the typical way out. Mom wasn't in the mood for her shenanigans and laid into her pretty hard, screaming at her to leave her alone. Get away, listen to your dad, do what you're told. Daughter broke down in tears and went to her room until supper was ready. At dinner, I asked one daughter what her special class was today. They have 5 and rotate them weekly. STBXW sarcastically retorts to me. So you don't even know what your girl's special is? It's right on the frig, to which I calmly reply, well, once I start taking them to school in the morning, I'll have a better handle on the daily special. She loses it, breaks down sobbing and goes into the bedroom to cry. Mommy's girl goes in to try and soothe her. After about 5 minutes, she comes back out to finish eating and we have a decent conversation about the school day. I went to bed at 10 p.m. as usual. STBXW watches TV for 5 more minutes then turns it off. She's lying there in bed crying and sobbing. I just lay there doing nothing. After a few minutes she starts talking to me about everything. She doesn't understand how I can be so cold and mean to her. What? I said I have not been mean to her. She's the one making sarcastic comments and provoking me. I said what she thinks looks like me being cold is actually me emotionally detaching from her. I said our relationship is dead and I'm working on detaching my heart from her to protect my sanity. She talks about the house. She says she won't stay here long term, just staying for the girls. I said then we should probably sell the house. She says no. It's my house. Always has been. There's nothing, no one here for her. I asked why she wants to stay then since she clearly cannot afford it. She says it's because of the girls. It's the only home they know. Their friends and pets are all here and she wants to remain in that environment. I ask what if the girls are with me? Then what? She says then I'll be here alone. I tell her the house will most likely have to be sold to settle the marital property anyway. She replies she won't let that happen, says again it was my house. I built it, my grandparents gave me the down payment for it, etc. She didn't come out and say she relinquishes claim but seemed to be hinting at that. I can't see her actually doing that because that would mean a huge financial loss for her. Her attorney would advise her otherwise, I'm sure. She again dove into the reasons why I filed for full custody. Why do I think she's a bad mother? She's never done anything to harm our kids and so on. I told her what she did recently in Aug was enough to scare the crap out of me. Luckily nothing happened. But the potential risk for psychological harm to our kids was huge. She is either sweeping this event under the rug or maybe cannot actually process it rationally to understand what she did was so terribly risky. She says that she would never have filed for full custody, like I did, and that's why she didn't file first. She feels that I betrayed her by saying I would not take the kids away from her and then filing. I tried to reason with her that even if I got full custody, I would never take the girls away from her. I told her she would still be an active part in their lives. After an hour of this drama, no concession was reached. She couldn't grasp that if I didn't get 50-50 that I would go for 100% and not consider anything in between. She kept asking me why. All I could tell her was we both contribute unique and valuable traits and experiences to our girls, and they should continue to have the same mix of time with each of us. Thus 50-50 is the best possible solution given the circumstances. She told me she still feels that the mom is the center and heart of any family, and that's why she wants the girls. I can understand that statement. It's an emotionally driven feeling, maternal in nature. That makes sense from her perspective, but it's not an idea that's supported by research in child psychology and divorce. Active, involved fathers play a huge role in the proper development of a child into a balanced adult. Today I'm strangely calm. I'm exhausted from all the emotional drama and lack of good sleep, of course. But I'm not nervous right now. Maybe I will be closer to the meeting. I keep telling myself that I cannot control any of this. I tell myself to let the worry go free. I can't control the outcome as much as I wish I could. All I can do is pray. Take what happens and move on. Conference was a mess. They wanted everything. So, both lawyers go into judge's chambers for 10 minutes without us. I get called in first, greet the judge and sit down. A minute later X comes crawling in. She's quiet, meek, mild, talks in a low voice. Not like herself at all. I'm attentive, dressed to the nines in my business suit. Assertive and confident with my answers to the judge, of course. I'm a nervous wreck inside but doing my best not to show it. The judge does most of the talking. He asks each of us questions about our jobs, our schedules and available times. Each time X answers, she looks to her lawyer as if seeking affirmation to reply. Judge gets tired of this and reprimands her. He says stop talking to her. I'm asking the questions. Respond to me, got to love that. Judge then tells us he doesn't not want to have this proceed to trial. He tells us to work this out. He offers guidelines and things for us to consider. He tells us stop giving the custody a name. Full, primary, 50-50, etc. Instead, he says for us to look at our schedules, determine when each is available to the kids, and set up the schedule accordingly. Sounds simple. But not in reality. X's work flexibility is zilch. I have complete flexibility. So, I can say I'm available in the morning for school, afternoon to get them off school, every evening and every weekend. X cannot get them after school. She must work one evening each week. She must work one weekend every month. So, her time availability is more limited than mine, putting her at a disadvantage. At the end the judge asked the four of us if we wanted to stay a little while and discuss. Nobody answered, so judge asked my lawyer directly. His response was not so great. He told the judge that trying to talk with them was futile, knowing that X is cemented in her position. The judge didn't like that response and said talking is never a futile exercise. I suggest you exchange work schedules to start with. The judge issued an order to delay setting of hearing pending X's visitation of my place. A second conference date was set for next Wed morning. My take is the judge wants to see an effort on our part to resolve this. Come to him with some kind of draft parenting plan, which I already created. I don't see that happening because X will not change her position about our girls. Last night STBXW told me since I have a place I should move out. Yes, here we go with this crap. It will only get more intense the next few weeks. She also told me since it's partially furnished, I don't need to take anything more from the home. I reminded her I was only taking a few pieces and she had verbally agreed to that. She told me, well, you have your secret place now. So all that changes. More crap to deal with from her. Why do WWs drag things out, obstruct, interfere, and make life miserable for everyone by doing these things? The writing is on the wall, just sign and get it over with. Last night was hell. After going to bed, STBXW started talking about everything under the sun. She was sarcastic, mean, emotionally manipulative, demanding, demeaning, you name it. And this went on for 3 hours. I got very little sleep last night. I ignored all the crap that didn't warrant a response. I tried to answer or reply to things in a calm and logical manner that seemed relevant to resolving our situation. But she was in no frame of mind to think rationally about what I said. Finally, I just stopped responding and she gave up talking around 2 a.m. This morning I get up to get ready for work and she rolls over and mumbles something. I ask her what she said. She sits up in bed and says we get really worked up over this. Let's go to bed early tonight and sit down this weekend to try and work this out. She has these fleeting moments of sanity mixed in with major stretches of craziness, emotion, and bitterness. It's very taxing, but I have no choice but to endure for now and keep my head on straight. I just want to take a nap right now. Court-ordered inspection of my new place goes wrong in a very bad way. Friday was the day chosen for STBXW to go see my place as requested by the custody judge. After several emails back and forth, she settled on having my landlord present and doing the walkthrough at 6:30 after she gets off work. So, I call my landlord, explain the situation, and he graciously agreed to meet us at my place at 6:30 p.m. Then later in the afternoon, STBXW emails again with a change. She doesn't want this to be a circus and drag others into it, so she doesn't need the landlord present. I agree, it's a pretty simple matter for me to let her in, and she walks around, asks questions, and we go. Boy, was I wrong. Every Friday night is pizza night. I'm out of money and she knows it. She got paid Friday, so she has money. I'm expecting her to come home with a pizza for the kids and we go over to see my new place. She calls the house at 6:45 and says sharply, "I'm here." "Where are you?" "I'm thinking you never said I was supposed to meet you, and obviously there's no supper and I didn't take anything out or prepare anything." She set me up, so I grab my keys, hit my jacket frantically, telling the babysitter to get this and that out to feed our girls something. I race over to my place where she's waiting in her car. There is a farm across the street and a barn. This is a very rural area and they have barn cats. A dozen of them, and they are surrounding my W's van. She opens her window and says, "Is it safe for her to get out?" I tell her yes, they only come over to visit when somebody comes around. I tell her they're harmless, so she starts complaining about the cats and rabies and calling the Human Society before we even get inside. I unlock the front door and walk in to turn on some lights. She follows me inside and pushes the front door to close it, but it stays ajar. I have to walk into the kitchen to turn on more lights as she's looking over the living room. I walk back to the door and open it so you can see through the screen door. I'm edgy and don't know what she might pull. She walks through the foyer and into the dining kitchen area, looking at all the appliances and furniture I've been collecting. The place is 90% furnished now. And it starts. She turns to me and says, "You son of a X, you've been doing all this behind my back and you complain about me keeping secrets. Well, this is all going to come out in court. So what?" Her temp is rising. I'm standing by the front door ready to make an exit if necessary. She walks into the kitchen, looks around and sees photos I put up on the frig of my mom's birthday showing me, Mom and Dad, and the girls, and flips out. She grabs the pics off the frig and throws them, yelling at me, "You have some nerve putting this crap up here. Blah blah blah." So, I think she's going to start trashing things and walk into the kitchen to confront her. I tell her, "You need to stop right now. You can't come in here to inspect the place and start throwing things around." But she's already lost it and can't think or reason. She gets in my face holding some pics, taunting me, "What are you going to do?" She throws more pics on the floor. At that point I realize this is going to get bad and real fast, so I retreat to the living room and walk out the front door. She follows me out on the porch ranting about this and that. She throws several pics on the ground and stomps on them. Then says again, "What are you going to do?" So, wait for it, I call the police. I take out my cell, call 911, they connect me to the state police and I explain the situation. I request they dispatch to the location. The whole time W is saying loudly in the background, "I want to talk to them, give me the phone." I want to talk. She tries grabbing the phone and I twist and back away each time, trying to keep distance between us. She's enraged now and totally berserk. She comes over to me, grabs me in a bear hug and says, "Kiss me, come on, give me a kiss." What the duck? As I pull back and push her arms down, I finally break free from her and walk away up the street to get away until the police come. As I'm walking, I see another man coming out of my landlord's back driveway. He sees me and says, "Hello." I say hi back and ask if his name withheld. He says yes. It's my landlord. I tell him what's going on and he says he'll walk back down with me to wait for the police. We walk back to my place. W is pacing around the driveway. We walk up near her and I say, "This is my wife." He says hi, tries to be cordial. But she's angry and starts ranting about the cats and the driveway is not big enough to play in. Saying stuff about me that there is a history of domestic abuse, blah, blah. I think he sees right through it anyway. So, 2 cops show up, I invite them inside, landlord, W and I are standing there and I give a brief explanation of events. Cop #1 stops me and tells Cop #2 to take W into other room to get her statement. She instantly breaks down crying and wailing. I couldn't make out what she was saying. Cop #1 takes my statement and immediately sympathizes. He's 2 years into his own ugly divorce. He understands the situation I'm in and gives me a few pointers. I tell him I have to stay in marital home because we don't have court order yet. He tells me if anything happens between us at the marital home to call and this incident here will be applied toward her as well. He asks if I want to file harassment charges. I say no. Not at this time. W and cop #2 come out of bedroom. She's sobbing heavily. Cop #1 starts to review what transpired with her. She jumps in and say the pictures were accidentally knocked down. Cop #1 tells her in a raised, firm voice he doesn't care how they fell. He knows what went down here tonight. Typical spousal argument. He tells her luckily her husband chose not to engage her and called police instead. He warns her sternly that if anything happens and he gets called to the marital home tonight, charges will be filed including what happened here. W is stunned and becomes completely docile. She says she's ready to leave and there won't be any more trouble. W goes outside, gets in her van and leaves. I lock up and leave also but don't go home. I'm just driving around. W calls and tells me I have to pay the babysitter and take her home. Then she hangs up before I can respond. 2 minutes later she calls again asking me where I'm at. She and daughter #2 want to go out for dinner. Since I didn't make anything. And I need to come home to watch daughter #1. I say okay. Be there in 5 minutes. I come home, walk in the house as she and daughter are walking out. So, I'm expecting her to stay out for a good while, but she only gets Chinese takeout and is back home in 40 minutes. Hooray. I'm in our bed watching TV. She comes in, closes the door and locks it, opens the window and proceeds to chain smoke cigarettes. The thing is she doesn't smoke anymore. She used to 20 years ago, socially with friends, but hasn't done it for years. I say nothing, let her do whatever will soothe her nerves. She starts talking to me about many different things, our relationship, separation, divorce, custody trial, our kids, her life, our baggage, etc. She sits on the bed, crying and sobbing uncontrollably, eventually when she can catch her breath. She apologizes to me. She tells me she's sorry for hurting me so badly. She doesn't want to lose her family, her children, her life. She wants me to stay. She wants to try to save our marriage. She wants to start very slow. With dinner date or movie. No pressure, just take it slowly. She tells me she wants to fall in love with me again like she felt before everything went to hell. Before I drank, before I neglected her and pushed her away emotionally. I tell her she's wasting her time trying. It takes 2 to work on a marriage and I'm out. I tell her I need some space. I still want to separate and we need to figure out the custody issue. She says she understands why I would feel that way. Does she? I don't think she knows the depth of damage done to me, but she still wants to fight for us. Then she says, I have something to tell you. First thing was she's been off her anti-anxiety meds for 1 to 2 weeks. She only has a few left. Not good. She needs that medication. She went off them for 2 weeks a couple years ago and it was 2 weeks of hell. When asked why, she says it was because she didn't have enough money. The copay is on $40, come on. I said she needs to prioritize expenses. Meds should come before horse riding lessons, she says. Tell your daughter that. I called in and ordered her meds. Expedited delivery. And paid for them myself. I handed her the pills and a drink and told her please take these. She tried to decline, saying she's almost out, so. I told her what I did. She's back on them 3 days now and I think it's helping. The second thing is more troubling. She tells me she hasn't had a period in 2 months. Oh my God. She says it's probably stress, and it could be. She is 41 and has been having irregular and sometimes heavy periods the last 2 years. Her doctor says it might be premenopause. I know once in a while she only goes 3 weeks between and then sometimes it goes 5 weeks. No. I did not ask her if she thinks she's pregnant, although the timing is perfect for their last 2 rendezvous. I doubt she would be trying to lure me back into the marriage due to pregnancy for several reasons. We haven't bond together since last week of July, so timing would say it's not mine. And more importantly, I've had a vasectomy 5 years ago. Wow, I can't wrap my mind around this one. What if she's pregnant? My comment. Final ending coming soon. Hit that bell button to get the